Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden and we're going to try another beer from a brewery who I have never had anything from before. And there was a little bit of a happy coincidence when I picked up this beer through Systembolaget that I didn't realise until I started researching the brewery. So for this one we are going to go to Waxholms Bryggeri and we're having a taste of their Mörk lager today, which comes in at 5.4% and it is a German style Dunkel. So the happy coincidence with this brewery is that the head brewer here is Jessica Heydrich. Now she used to brew for St. Erik's Bryggeri, which was part of Galatea, and years ago it was one of the first I think German style beers that I reviewed from Sweden. They did a Helles beer and it's one of the best Helleses that I've actually tried from outside of Germany, and I think I've had other German style beers that Jessica's brewed as well and they always turn out to be really quite nice, but this is the first Dunkel lager that I've had from her. So to basically pick up this beer because it is one of my favourite styles and then find that she's brewed it again, I thought that was a pretty interesting coincidence. So really curious to see how this one turns out, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Waxholms Bryggeri. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Waxholms Bryggeri then. So Waxholms Bryggeri, as I've mentioned to you before, are based in Vaxholm, which is one of the groups of islands to the south of Stockholm, to the south of Stockholm city, but part of the Stockholm archipelago. So Vaxholm apparently had a brewery until 1936 called Waxholms Bryggeri, which was located in the old boat building yard, and apparently a lot of the Stockholm breweries had a branch down there in Vaxholm where they would bottle up their beers and then put them on boats to be sold on the islands around the archipelago. But in 1936 the Vaxholm Bryggeri applied for a lager brewing licence, which was a class 2 licence apparently, but this was rejected, and so the Waxholm brewery became known as Vaxholms Nya Bryggeri, and it was a branch of Stockholms Bryggeri. But the brewery continued until 1954 and it had grown significantly. It had somewhere in the region of 9 employees, and I think it was 2 or 3 boats they had as well, so they were a fairly big operation at the time that they closed down. But this particular incarnation of the brewery was founded in 2015, so Waxholm went about 60 years without actually having its own brewery, but this company was founded by Per Erik Grön, and in 2017 they recruited Jessica Heydrich and Marcus Kupperud to run the brewery, in addition to producing their own brand of beer which is known as Hop Notch, and you will see me review one of those in a couple of videos time. But Waxholm's beers are more the kind of classic style of beers. They've got IPAs, winter warmers, I think there's a couple of pale ales and stuff like that in there as well, but the Hop Notch beers are the more kind of experimental American style beers actually. So yeah, I think there'll be some really interesting things coming out of Hop Notch. I do have a nice beer with one of my favourite hops in it actually from Hop Notch, and as I say, you'll see that maybe in 2 or 3 days time. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about Waxholms Bryggeri just now. That was all the information I was really able to find on them actually, just apart from the article on beernews.se that I found that was talking about Marcus and Jessica taking over the running of the brewery. There really wasn't very much information apart from the stuff on Waxholm's own website. But yeah, they seem to have been around for a little bit, and they're more a kind of classic restaurant-y type beer brewery, the Waxholm brand actually. But I'm sure Jessica Heydrich, she'll you know, she's a talented brewer her actually, and as I say, she's got a particular knack in my opinion for you know, the traditional German styles of beer. So very curious to see how this one turns out. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. If you want to learn a little bit more, of course, you can check out the brewery website in the description below, and of course you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that too. So yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself then. So I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one before we open up. There you can see the nice kind of, I think there is a castle in Vaxholm which is quite famous, and I think that's what it is, but you can see the boats also kind of sailing around there, because you know the Stockholm area is quite there's a lot of water there and a lot of different islands that you can go around. I need to go and explore there a little bit more at some point in the near future. But yeah, nicely presented beer, this one. It is you know, this is the thing that's interesting. You know, that is almost, if it wasn't for the Swedish on the bottle, you might be forgiven for mistaking this beer for being German. But it says on the side here, Vaxholm Mörk Lager är en classic tysk Dunkel. Basically, it's a classic German Dunkel. I think is it bottom fermented with malty tones and an aromatic roasted character to it as well. This beer type is strongly identified with Bayern, with Bavaria and Germany, and also with Czech Republic and Mexico. I guess they're referring to Modelo Negra or Negra Modelo. I forget which way around it is. But yeah, this Dunkel, it's the first beer style that was brewed under the German Reinheitsgebot, which was institutionalized in 1516 by Wilhelm IV of Bayern. This beer, I'm not sure exactly what the last little bit's saying, but it's saying something like, we've brewed this to be a quality beer that lives on. We wanted to bring the spirit of Germany into our own beer. I think that's basically how this one translates. You can pause it there and just have a little look at the Swedish there if you want it, and you can see Jessica Heydrich's signature on the bottom there too, which is really nice. They've got their own bottle caps as well, which I always like because I can add them to my collection. So there you can see the Waxholms Bryggeri bottle cap. But without further ado then, let's get this guy out and we will get on with the tasting. This one, it says, is best before the 19th of December 2019, and we are drinking it well before its due date. I actually can't remember when I got this one, if it was April or May 2019 that this one was released, but regardless, I'm sure it will be pretty good. And like I say, very curious to see how this one turns out, because I had an awesome German Helles under the St. Erik's Brewery brand from Jessica, so hopefully she's as good at the Dunkel as she is at the Helles. And like I say, generally I've found she seems to do a pretty good job when it comes to these traditional German beer styles. Actually, I'd love to see her have a go at a Doppelbock, and you know, if she can do a Doppelbock well, I'm sure she can do a Scotch ale well as well. That would be interesting. But yeah, as you can see with this beer, if I hold it up to the light, this one is actually a little bit kind of ruby. This is one of the more red. I have to admit, I would say this one's a little bit more red than some of the German Dunkels that I've come across. Nothing wrong with that, of course, but you can see there's a nice, I would say, 2/3 finger of a frothy, kind of cream fawny coloured head on this one. You can smell some nice fruity notes coming out of this actually, which is interesting too. But one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, overall, it does look pretty damn nice, I have to say. So yeah, nothing overly surprising about this one when you consider it as a German Dunkel or a Czech Cerny, you could say. But yeah, really nicely presented, or nice looking beer, this one. Just a little bit redder than some of the other Dunkels that I've come across from memory. But yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. Oh yeah. It's strange, this one, because I was noticing a little bit of fruity sharpness coming out of it, and I was worried maybe it had oxidised a little bit, but when you put your nose into it, you really get some of these nice, more malty qualities out of it. Of course, and this is the thing, the lager beers, the Pilsner beers, of course, are really associated with the Czech Republic, with Pilsner Urquell and stuff like this. And then you've got the Schwarz beers, the Dunkels and the Helles. And in the Czech Republic you've got the Svetlis, the Letsaks, and then the Cerny is the Dunkel equivalent, and the Tmavi is the Schwarz beer equivalent. So yeah, these lager beers, I really like these. They're quite, it's a shame, I always find it a shame because they seem to be quite underrated in the modern craft beer world. But to me, this one smells really nice. So yeah, it has got a nice almost... This one to me smells like a really almost well-fired bread crust. It does have a little bit of an almost toasty, black malty quality to it, which is interesting. So it does have a really dusty, roasty, toasty bread crust quality to it. On top of that, you can get some nice, almost syrupy brown sugars out of it, a little bit of molassesy kind of thing. There is some sweet caramel and some biscuits too, and some of that nice brown bready note. But to me, it really smells. This one is one of the more roasty, toasty, as in bread crusty, brown sugary Dunkels that I've come across. It does smell really nice actually. I've got high hopes for this one. On the hoppy side of things, of course, you're getting that nice German noble hop quality to it. It's got a little bit of earthiness in there, and on top of that you're getting some nice floral and grassy notes too. It does have that distinctive German noble hop quality to it, although for me the earthiness is a little bit darker than some of the other Dunkels that I've come across as well, which is quite nice. But yeah, some nice red fruity qualities to this one. To me, this one smells kind of like sultanas. There's almost a little bit like I'm almost like a white grapey quality from this one, but it's also got the nice red raisins to it as well. But some figgy notes in there, maybe a little bit of a candied red fruit ester as well. But to me, there is a sort of not tropical, but there is a sort of there is something else in there, like dates or prunes or something like that. But yeah, it's a really interesting aroma, this one. Definitely a little bit more toasty and a little bit more like a roasty bread crust compared to some of the other beers that I've had, the German style Dunkel beers that I've had before as well. So as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in. But we're going to have a taste of this one now. So this one is the Mörk Lager, a German Dunkel, Czech Cerny, however you want to describe it, from Waxholms Bryggeri in Vaxholm, just to the south of Stockholm. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål. Ooh, that's nice actually. First impression I would say about this one, to me, this particular one, it comes across as more of a Cerny in my opinion than it does the German Dunkel. Reason I say that is because of the bready qualities that the beer has. I always found that the Czech takes on this style are a little bit more bready, and to me this one just comes across as being really quite bready actually. So if we were being picky about it, I would say that this one is more of a Czech Cerny than it is a German Dunkel. The German Dunkels for me are just that little bit sweeter and more concentrated on the brown sugar. This one is more bready, and I like that about it actually. I've really got into the Czech variations of these beers in recent times, but again, it's a really nice traditional lager type beer, this one. She's done a good job on this as well, so it's interesting. I do hope that she does another Helles, and it'd be cool to see her have a go at a Schwarzbier or Tamavi as well. For me though, this one is a little bit more like, definitely a little bit more like a Cerny than it is like a German Dunkel in my opinion. But yeah, she's done a nice job of this again, and like this is, like I said, she does seem to have a knack of of producing these German and I guess now Czech style beers really nicely. So hopefully she plays around with a few more styles. Like I say, a Doppelbock would be an interesting one for her to try. A Rauch beer as well would be cool. But yeah, I like how this one goes together. So straight away, you're going to feel this nice brown bready quality that just blankets the middle of your tongue. The further you go into the aftertaste, you do get a degree of sweetness out of it, but the middle of your palate also dries out a little bit, and you get almost like those roasty bread crusty flavours, like I was talking about, the kind of notes that you get from the aroma. That's really present in this one. In the centre of your palate, you've got a nice little bit of a sweet brown sugary note. It is like more of a syrupy brown sugar and slightly toasted as well, and that sort of plays in quite well with the it really does play in quite well with the sort of roasty bread crust notes that you get from this beer too. But the more that you drink of this one, the slightly sweeter it gets, I would say. But yeah, I like how that one, I like how this one goes together. So yeah, the malt base in this one, I would say, is quite simple. And it's definitely one of the more toasty Dunkel Tamavi type beers that I've come across, but it works for it. It's quite well blended actually, I have to say. In the back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness there, and that builds a good bridge with the roasty bread crusty notes that I was talking about, but that smooths out as you come further forward. A little touch of a floral aromaticity on the front corners of the palate, then round the very front curve of the tongue, it's just a little bit lighter and more grassy, I would say, which is nice. Behind the front curve of the palate, you've got that little oily bubble where those juicy, fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And yeah, for me, this one just has a little bit of a kind of candied red fruity note to it. It always reminds me of those little heart-shaped sweets you get out of the Haribo Star Mix. There's a little touch of a figgy note to it as well. Yeah, no, I think there's. I wonder if there's maybe even a little touch of an almost. I don't know if pear is the right descriptor for it, but there is a little bit of almost like a kind of white, raisiny sultana type thing in there as well. More a sultana note than anything else. But yeah, this is it is a nice take on the can we say the brown lager, the dark lager style. To me, definitely more of a Czech Tmavi than it is a German Dunkel, because it's one of the more roasty, toasty examples of the style. The German ones for me are always a little bit sweeter than this, whereas the Czech ones are a little bit more bready, but that's a minor point. Again though, like I said, Jessica's pulled off a nice traditional beer style, if you like, so hopefully she tries more of these. I would like to see her almost reincarnate that Hellas beer that she did for St. Eric's. That would be really cool to see that back under the Waxholm brand. If she can do a new version of that or something like that, that would be very cool to see. It'd be cool to see her have a go at a Schwarzbier and a Doppelbock and a Rauch beer at some point as well, because like I say, there does seem to be a little bit of a knack in there for these traditional German and I guess Czech style beers. So yeah, this is a nice one. If you like the German, if you like the Czech Czernys, you are going to enjoy this one. And if you like your German Dunkels to be a little bit more bready, then this one will hit the spot for you as well. But yeah, thumbs up to Jessica for this one. Another very nice traditional style beer. In terms of the mouthfeel of this one, then I would say it's at the bottom end of mid-bodied. Carbonation is very smooth. There's a little bit of an oiliness to the mouthfeel, but mainly again quite smooth. Good balance in the malt base with this one. It's really quite a bready beer, this, which I quite like. There's a little bit of sweetness in there, but mainly it's a smooth malt base rather than a sweet one. Nice little bit of hoppy bitterness, and I would say just a little touch of a juicy fruity note as well. But overall, one of the more roasty, toasty Dunkel beers that I've come across in recent times. But yeah, a really nice beer, this one, and I wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. In fact, probably my only complaint about this one would be that it's only in the 330 rather than the half litre, because they do the half litre beers. I quite happily pay a little bit more for it and have the half litre, to be honest with you. But yeah, another very solid beer, and I'm glad that I was able to review this one for you. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Waxholms Bryggeri as well, and hopefully we can return to these guys in the fairly near future. Do give me any other Swedish Dunkel recommendations or Swedish German style beer recommendations that you can that you come across too. I'd love to try some more traditional German beer styles. I really got into beer with the German beer style, so I always enjoy doing these types of reviews. But thank you again for watching. You will see a review from Hop Notch Brewing in the next couple of videos, so keep an eye out for that and have a go at some of these Waxholm beers if you're a fan like me of these traditional German beer styles. Thank you again for watching. I will catch you guys very soon. Make sure you check out my social media. This one was the Mörk Lager from Waxholms Bryggeri in Vaxholm to the south of Stockholm in Sweden. Slange, Skull, Prost.